I guess there was a
realize
Boolean
the toy mark.
The Bell Laboratory got me a patent on a machine to play Tic Tac Toe.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In,
It's at the World's
19
Fair, too.
Actually, I designed the thing in 1937,
Why don't we
but
bring
it
that
wasn't
to
patented
market
until after the war. It's a relay machine. That's a,
You have that at home?
I don't have a copy of it now, but they had several of them made to use I had one I used to carry around to play, to demonstrate when I give talks about in-machine things and things like that. But
They have it at the World's Fair.
But now, yeah, they had it in the World's Fair.
When, 56?
No,
65.
yeah, 50, whenever it was.
56, I think.
64, 65?
Yeah,
Didn't you say it was in Disneyland as well?
it was in Disneyland also.
Bill, we should bring that to market.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah, we're a
great
little
to
late on
have
that.
electronic tic-tac-toe, little tab.
There we go.
Does that exist?
It
Probably.
was really,
Take it up with your consultant.
Check it out. That would be really fun to have a little
Tic-tac-toe.
travel electronic tic-tac-toe game.
You think so?
That you can play against?
Yeah.
now you were asking,
Sure.
I think they may
you were
exist.
asking the question, it all depends upon who's calling the shots. Now, when Shannon came out with his thesis on Boolean algebra, I had been doing some horsing around and had gotten a little attention that I liked that sort of thing. And so one of our vice presidents, who was a long, forward-looking guy with A.B. Clark, and I had come in contact with A.B. Clark because of some of the things I had done, so he knew about it. And I was low as you can get in the Bell Laboratory at that point in time. And not even a design group, I was in a testing group.
You're testing
But
you out.
I always tested, when there was something exciting came along, I always saw that I was the one that said, oh yeah, I would, my boss knew I would like that.
Yeah.
And so he'd give it to me. So I got all the oddball things. And so, I got a charter with several others, John Riven was one of them, to work on Boolean algebra. When it happened, I was given this, said, take him off, whatever he's doing, let him work on this. And boy, my boss's boss, his boss, didn't like that worth a damn. The vice president told me that I worked for a year, and that's when I designed the tic-tac-toe machine. I said, if I'd use a Boolean algebra to design a trunk circuit, they said, hell, I already knew how the trunk circuit what a trunk circuit looked like. So therefore, it's easy enough for you to show how to do it with Boolean algebra because you already know how it works. I said, well, I'll take a problem that there's no relay circuit to do. I'll take tic-tac-toe. I'll design a tic-tac-toe machine using Boolean algebra. And so, and then they can't say I already knew what the circuit looked like before I applied the algebra to it. And so I produced it. Now this is interesting, it really is an interesting thing. After a year of this, my boss's boss called me up to his office and says, told me what I was doing. This was a year. And apparently he had said a year is long enough. So I said, what have you been doing? I said, well, I designed a machine. I did this. How did I design a machine? Tic-tac-toe. What the hell are you doing? Wasting your time on that playing games. And he snatched me off that and said, now here's some people over here designing relays. You remember Bill Parker's group that engineered relays? He says they don't know what the hell they're doing. I want you to go in there and see if you can't figure out how to engineer a relay. And so they moved me over there. But after the war was over, the circuit design group was in total fix because they hadn't designed it. Everybody had been taken off their telephone systems and put on war work. And so for 5 years then, no new design work had been done on telephone systems. And all the people that knew how to do it had either retired or had forgotten how. And so
Sad to
A.B.
bring up a whole new generation of them.
So there was a great business. A.B. Clark said, we got to get some more people, we got to hire new people, now to teach them. That's when he put Al and I and
Washburn.
Joel well, we got Washburn out of our first class. But Al and I, and it was Joel actually started off, said, you're gonna figure out how to teach this to new people.
Oh, he was in your, Mr. Washburn was in your first class that you
He was in our
taught?
first class, yeah, and we needed help. And so we said, we're gonna ask him to join the group. And so that was it. And then they started going out recruiting, and the emphasis to the recruiters was, now you get something out there to talk about, or your speakers bureau, let them tell about switching. And so the publications department decided, well, they would build this Tic Tac Toe machine as a demonstration of the sorts of machines that are making it do logical processing. And so they came to me, I had said, yeah, I designed the circuit. I gave them the Boolean expressions. This really was remarkable to me. I gave them the Boolean expressions in my pink memorandum. I never had been allowed to take the final form, the pink draft of that memorandum, the Boolean expressions for the machine to play tic-tac-toe, and gave it to them. And they went out on Long Island and hired some independent craftspeople out there to build this machine. And they built it, and they turned it on, and it worked.
That's
And so
amazing.
you hadn't been able to get into that. They took you off of it before you could do that.
I was amazed to say, and they never
That's
discussed it
fantastic.
with me.
They didn't.
In the pink, I had enough for them to translate the Boolean expressions to relay circuits, and they wired them together, and they worked. And they came back to me and they said, "There's one thing in here we don't understand what it does." And I looked at it, and at that point in time, it's been 4 or 5 years since I couldn't remember why.
Okay, you did it before the
I said,
war.
I don't know what it does. And so they said, well, we'll leave it out. They left it out and discovered that was the thing I had put in there to keep the thing, making a false play to press 2 buttons at the same time. I had to put it back.